Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for joining me today. In fact, this beautiful day in beautiful Ojai, California. And today we have a very interesting subject, a new subject for me to speak on, and I hope it helps you and benefits you. It's on the causes and natural treatments for anger. Now, I use the term anger because it was simple, but we're really talking about a broader category. And of course, this is according to Ayurveda. And this broader category would include irritability, rage, even pride, frustration, lustfulness, aggressiveness, and even violence, and even an overly controlling nature. And to some degree, even being hyperactive, excitable, and in this category. And in fact, in Ayurveda, we would call this, what we're talking about today, is a rajasic quality, rajasic. And there's 3 states of mind in Ayurveda, 3 states of mind. Your mind has 3 kind of states of mind. One is tamasic. Tamasic is slow, heavy, depressive, sad, and it's extreme suicidal. And actually, that's next week's webinar, managing depression. And then, so this is a kind of tamasic, that's depression is in this tamasic quality, where it has these heavy, slow, and sluggish thinking thoughts, and you become lethargic and slow and depressed and sad, and ultimately you can become suicidal. But we're talking today about another state of mind, which is rajasic. And rajasic is assertive, aggressive, competitive, lustful, pride, vain, anger, critical, in this state. And then the third state of mind is the Southwick state of mind, where the mind is clear, happy, loving, clear, friendly, warm, courageous, sharing, and teaching by nature. Oh, how wonderful. Now, all of us have all these 3 states of mind all the time. We cannot just live in a completely Southwick state of mind, because we have our work, we have our job, we have to compete. If we're an athlete, that's competitive. We have to be rajasic. If we're in business, we have to compete. That's rajasic. So, and sometimes we're even tamasic when we sleep. We're a tamasic state where our mind is, we're in our subconscious state. We're not thinking, and we're dull. Even if you eat too much food, and you eat like, a whole pizza in the middle of the night, and you just feel like you have to lie down and take a heavy nap, then you are in a tamasic state. You become dull, lethargic, kind of unmotivated. And that's, of course, the next week's webinar on this tamasic state, which I just summarized as depression. And then today we're going to talk about this rajasic state, where we're being assertive and aggressive and competitive. Now, when this rajasic state is, let's say, increased, we become too rajasic. That's when we start to see anger, aggression, and even violence is at the height of that condition that we're covering today. So that's really the Ayurvedic category, which we're talking about today, is this rajasic state of mind and managing it. And within that is anger, which you can relate to. Now, the second aspect of managing anger, or this rajasic state, is the nervous system. In fact, the nervous system is supporting our mind like this, just like it's supporting it. So if our nervous system is agitated, our mind will be agitated. If our nervous system is calm, then our mind will be calm. If our nerves are inflamed, then we can have headaches and even irritability and anger. So in Ayurveda, these are the 2 aspects that would be covered in treating an anger issue. Reducing down the rajasic quality and becoming more Southwick, more peaceful, and reducing the inflammation, we could say, or Ayurveda terms would be pitta in your nervous system. Pitta, gati, meja, vayu sutra. Pitta in your nervous system. And that's, we could call pitta heat or inflammation. So we could say reducing inflammation in our nervous system. Because if the nerves are inflamed, this also contributes to this state. So first we're going to talk about causes. We're going to cover diet, lifestyle habits, and home remedies. Then I'll give you some home remedies, some dietary changes, some lifestyle guidelines, and of course some herbs. And amazingly, herbs work very well at managing anger. We wouldn't think about that normally, but now, of course, we have legalized cannabis sativa, and this was used in ancient times also for nerve issues, anger issues, irritability issues, social anxiety issues, and of course, a poor appetite, and also used as an analgesic. So we know that herbs can help modify and change our mood already from our experience with cannabis. But we're talking about other herbs, maybe not as much other side effects that can help you to more specifically manage irritability and anger. But let's first start with foods that would increase anger and irritability. And first, let's talk about fruits. We want to reduce down, if I assume you have anger issues, hot-tempered. You know, when we think of a person being angry, we often just call them hot-tempered or hot-blooded. And that's right. So we want to reduce the quality of heat in our body. And we can often see when somebody gets angry, their face gets red, their ears get red, even the veins start to come out on the sides of their temples, and their blood pressure goes up. So they become hot, and a person who gets angry easy is considered hot-blooded. So we would definitely want to reduce down hot foods, hot spices. That includes garlic, onions, chili pepper, cayenne pepper, and hot spices. It also include reducing down sour foods, particularly soured fruits like citrus, except for lime. Lime is not that sour. Lemon is more sour. Vinegar is sour. So reduce down all citrus. Citrus is increasing appetite, increasing body heat in the body. If you've ever eaten like 20 oranges, you'll notice that the whole body warms up. And that's, of course, due to the niacin. And this is like a good winter fruit when you're cold to have oranges and citrus. But in the summer, when it's hot outside, you should have cooling foods, tropical fruits like fruits, sweet fruits. So have more sweet fruits like mangoes, pomegranates, dates, figs, pears, peaches, if not too sour. And one of the best of all, melons. So, in fact, if you live maybe with an irritable, angry person, what you can do is get a melon, particularly in the summer, like a honeydew melon, cantaloupe melon, cut it in half. First thing in the morning, give them half the melon to cool them down. You could be cool as a cucumber. A melon and cucumber, they're also vines, gourd family, growing on vines. All the squash, gourd, melons, cucumbers, growing on vines, all are cooling. So give a person half a melon in the morning, half a honeydew in the morning, and then when he comes home from work, he or she, and he's irritable, barking out the orders, don't say anything, just give him the other half of the melon. And that's very cooling, and you'll watch that settles down the nerves, settles down irritability, actually quite quickly. I've told this to many housewives who had irritable husbands coming home, and they tried this tactic of giving them some sweet fruit as soon as they came in the door, particularly a melon, particularly a honeydew, and they noticed right away that their irritable partner was less irritable. So sweet fruits, not sour fruits. When we come to vegetables, We want to avoid the nightshades. That's right. Tomatoes, bell peppers, white potatoes, paprika, and even spinach and pickles because they're sour. And we want to have more sweet vegetables as well, like sweet potatoes, sprouts, leafy greens, cilantro, very cooling. Cook a lot with cilantro. And asparagus, also very good for balancing pitta and heat. And a lot of times people who have high irritability or anger are pitta, prakriti types. We can see that's the pitta right there. It's the vata, a little more thin. There's the pitta right there. He's more muscular and hot and aggressive. Easy to get angry and also easy to get acid reflux. So in fact, if you have acid reflux and anger issues, you'll take care of both problems by following these guidelines, by having sweeter foods, sweeter fruits, sweeter vegetables. As far as grains, we want to avoid things like corn and buckwheat. These are more, we call rajasic, creates more aggression. We want to have more basmati rice. Rice is considered sweet, particularly basmati rice, jasmine rice, quinoa, and barley. Barley we use for high blood pressure, irritability, and anger. Then we talk about protein. We talk about legumes first. We want to focus on having like red lentils, mung dal. These are considered Southwick, peaceful. And the rajasic ones that are increasing anger and irritability, it's mostly the brown lentils and kidney beans. And when it comes to dairy, we want to avoid sour cream, salted butter, and even ice cream, and have more cow's milk. That's right. And ghee. And in fact, I have some herbal formulas here that are used to help with anger in the mind, and they're given in ghee because ghee is very sweet, very cooling in nature. In fact, even those who have hot flashes, hormonal hot flashes, we give the herbs also in ghee. So ghee is very good because if a person's dry, they get too dry. A lot of people aren't having any fat at all, and not having any sweet juices, because juices and fruit juices can be very hydrating. And maybe they're avoiding all this because they're afraid of fats or afraid of sugars, whatever. And then their body gets very dry and dehydrated. Well, when the body's dry, the organs are dry. This can increase inflammation. And this can lead to more irritability and anger. Almonds are considered the best nut, Southwick nut, and fresh cashews. You want to avoid, of course, rancid nuts, peanuts, and really, and sesame seeds are quite heating. And spices, we're going to talk more about spices. The Southwick or peaceful spices are saffron, turmeric, cardamom, coriander, and fennel, and cumin. And we're going to show you some herbs and teas in a minute on that. Ones we want to avoid, I mentioned earlier, chili pepper, cayenne pepper, and black pepper. You'd be surprised how many people have acid reflux, heartburn, irritability issues, and even rosacea, and are having chili pepper, cayenne pepper, and black pepper all the time. So when it comes to sweets, we want to have sugar cane, sweet. We want sweet. In fact, sweet is reducing down the heat. See, when you're irritable and angry, rah, 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 you're kind of sour. You're sourpuss or sour, rah, 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 complaining. So you don't want to have more sour fruit. That's why we call you sour. You became sour. We want to make you sweet. So you can have cane sugar. You can have jaggery. You can have honey. But artificial sugars, processed sugars, cakes, cookies, candies, and things like that, and even cooked honey is considered rajasic, creating more irritability and anger. So no processed sugar, but no problem with having some raw cane sugar, some jaggery, or even honey or sugarcane juice. In fact, coconut water is very cooling and very effective in this case. So beverages, we're going to talk about that, but licorice tea, brahmi tea, and we want to avoid stimulants. I know this is tough. Coffee, black tea, and even green tea. I mean, that's if you've got an anger issue. And most of all, when we have somebody who comes to me with real serious anger issues, then we ask them to be vegetarian and to stop all red meat and pork and lamb, and try to maybe just do some freshwater fish like trout that's a little sweeter. But best to become a vegetarian if you have big anger issues. Now, of course, some people, they have a job like maybe being a fireman or a policeman or a soldier, where, you have to have an edge to you. You have to have aggression, or even a very competitive person in competitive sports would need that rajasic competitive part of themselves to compete in their profession or their sport. So it would be more difficult for that person to follow this peaceful diet of being vegetarian, having sweet fruits, sweet grains, dairy and butter and mild spices. But if you find you're too aggressive, then you want to at least move to this direction. So diet can make a big difference. In summary, you want to avoid all the hot spices, for sure, hot chili pepper and nightshades, tomatoes, eggplants, bell pepper, paprika, and white potatoes. Those for sure. Just leave those off and then cut back on the red meat. That would be the minimum you'd want to do if you have an anger issue. Now we'll talk about a few home remedies we could do, and that is one. You could get a coconut oil massage. You could massage your body in coconut oil. In fact, I have a Pitta massage oil. I didn't bring it here to the webinar, unfortunately, but it got in coconut oil base with some other herbs in it. So coconut oil, not sesame oil, because that's a warming oil, and definitely not mustard oil. That's a heating oil. Because remember, a person who's got a lot of irritability and angry is hot-tempered. And generally they have a warmer body temperature as well. So they're overheating to some degree. And I didn't say, but I can't not say that, of course, not eating creates hangry, that hangry feeling where you're not eating. So, a lot of people are, skipping meals because they're overworking, or just trying to lose weight, starving themselves. It seems popular now. And this was going to increase your irritability. So you should not skip meals. You should sleep good, not stay up too late. Those are the basic fundamentals, and not have the spicy hot foods, and use coconut oil. If you don't have coconut oil, use sunflower oil on your massage. So, and then what else can we do? Of course, I mentioned we can have some fruit juices. And sandalwood oil, too, is very nice. I brought some sandalwood powder here today. And sandalwood powder, it can be put it on your forehead. You can make a paste on it, put it on your temples. And, of course, yoga postures. You want to avoid, of course, hot yoga. And you want to also avoid headstands and inverted postures, just like the plow or the shoulder stand. You want to do more postures that open up the chest, like camel pose, cobra pose, boat, goat, or the bridge poses. Those would be much better, but no inverted poses where the head is down, and definitely no headstands. And then, of course, you can do some breathing practice, shitali pranayama, breathing practice. This is very good. You can try it right now while you're watching. Curl the tongue. Hold the breath and relax. It's really working here. It's really calmed me down. Only a few breaths, so that is really very, very effective. And then, of course, meditating, observing the motions. Oh, look at that breath. It really took the edge right out of me, 4 or 5 breaths. So if you did some asanas, don't do the sun salutation. No, sun, heat. Do the moon salutation if you're familiar with asanas. And then no inverted poses. Then do some breathing practices, this cooling breath, and then a little meditation. It makes a big, big difference. And that'll take you 15, 20 minutes, 20 minutes tops. So these are the things that you can do on a daily basis to stay more cool. So you're generally this type of person. It needs to cool the physical body and cool the mental body at the same time and not aggravate the nerves. So let's look at a few herbs here that we can do. I have a very nice tea here. And this is a nice tea here. We call Pitta digestive tea. Now it's for digestion, but it's still very cooling. And we can see the ingredients here. Spearmint, fennel, coriander, cumin, cinnamon, and cardamom. All these are very cooling. There we go. Let's see here to get it. Oh, now it's got it. Now that fennel, you could just make a little tea of fennel, coriander, and cardamom. Those are the real cooling ones. For digestion, we put in the cumin. But you want to do mint tea. Instead of mint tea, you want to do spearmint tea. Spearmint is more sweet and more cooling. And like I said, you could make a cooling tea with just fennel and coriander and cardamom. Very nice, very cooling. And will also reduce your appetite down. A lot of people who are hot-tempered actually have a very strong appetite and sometimes even tend to overeat because of this. So that will help cool you down and tone the appetite down. Now, here we have a formula just for anger. And what do we call it? Cool head formula. That's right. Reduces irritability, frustration, anger, rage, hypercriticism. Maybe you have a spouse that needs this. See, rajasic. See, I put it right on the label. Reduces rajasic. Promotes mental clarity and peace of mind, all in a little jar. And we can see there the herbs at the bottom, shankhpushpi, very relaxing, pitta balancing, nervine, brahmi, probably the premier herb for the mind, and taruni. Taruni basically means rose powder. And jatamansi, also used for calming, and guduchi. This is a particular special guduchi called guduchi sattva, and it's very cooling. If you had a lot of it, your whole body temperature drops. And mukti-pishti is natural pearls. That's right, pearl powder. And I didn't mention that, but wear pearls will help you cool down. Yeah. Licorice tea is also very good. Rose tea, or we do rose jam. In India, they have rose jam. Instead of strawberry jam, they have jam made of roses. So you've got the sugar, which is, if it's natural cane sugar, that should be sweet and cooling. And with the rose petal jam, this is very cooling. And we have another formula here, was called calm and cool, because another cause of irritability is actually anxiety. When you get real anxious, you get this kind of anxious frustration, and then you become irritable. In Ayurveda, we call it vata pushing pitta. It means you get anxious and then nervous and then irritable. And there we have brahmi first. There's shankhpushpi. There's jatamansi. There's guduchi, but not the guduchi sattva, the really cool one. Red sandalwood, which I mentioned is a very cooling herb. It balances both pitta and vata. And then licorice, also balancing both pitta and vata. So calm and cool is balancing both vata and pitta, or anxiety and irritability, all in one little jar. It's amazing, amazing. And works. It works. People reordering them. I don't see people for a long time, and they reorder. And often I give this too. It's just called brahmi ghee, but brahmi ghee is got brahmi in it, brahmi leaf. Now, it doesn't say on here it's for irritability or anger, but I know that it's very cooling and soothing to the mind. And brahmi is very good for, again, balancing pitta and vata. So here's another one. We just call it hormone ghee, but these herbs can be used in different ways. Now, this is, it's got the key herb shatavari. When I should have talked more about shatavari. Shatavari, this is used for menopause. It's also aphrodisiac, but it's a very cooling herb. So say I have a woman and she's in menopause and she's getting hot flashes, plus she's got a little irritability issue, then I use shatavari ghee to cool them down so we can take care of the hot flashes, the heat, and anger, all in one little jar of herbs. So you can see a lot of these herbs come in in ghee, because ghee is balanced. Ghee is considered sweet and cooling by nature. And here's another one I have. It's just a sleep tonic, but it's called Ayurveda sleep tonic Pitta, right? Now it's for putting you to sleep, but because the Pitta is there, it's cooling. There's a Taruni again. See, this time it says rose powder. Shankhpushpi is a nervine, relaxing. Jatamansi, nervine. There's that brahmi again, premier herb for anxiety and irritability and the mind and memory. Mukti pishti, there's a pearl powder again, and Taruni. So you can see it's very similar to the cool head formula. It's just that it's more relaxing than the cool head formula. In fact, there's actually chamomile leaf powder in here too, which isn't on the ingredients, which makes you sleepy. So very similar to the cool head formula, but just having the sedative of chamomile and more nervines. So here's brahmi in its fresh scent, its normal state here. And we also have brahmi tea. But there's fresh brahmi right there, or dried brahmi. Yep. And you can use brahmi oil too. Oh, I had some on my desk here. We call it brain oil, but this particular one is brahmi oil. So if somebody's got irritability issues, we generally will change the diet, get them rid of the hot, spicy foods, the hot things, the tomatoes, the onions, the garlic, the chili pepper. Have them do some relaxing yoga, no more hot yoga. And then give them often the 2 or 3 of these. I'll give them the cool head formula in the daytime, and maybe 1 brahmi ghee teaspoon in the morning. And then before they go to bed, the sleeping one, which is also going to be cooling. And then during the day, they can take a few little brahmi oil in the nasal passages. And sometimes I just give them the brahmi ghee and tell them take 1 teaspoon in the morning and then put some in the nasal passages. People get tremendous results very quickly. We have chamomile here. Almost most flowers you can find are cooling. And these herbs are perfectly safe. I mean, you're just talking a flower. I mean, that's chamomile. There's no only side effect you're going to get is going to make you sleepy. And lavender too, another cooling flower. And even this shankhpushpi, it's also a flower. See, lavender. Very sweet. So very nice smell. So these are, and rose, we use rose powder, but also sometimes when people come and their faces are hot and red and they have heat on their face, we get rose water and spray it in the room around them and just kind of cool the face down. That will cool them down. They used to put rose petals in waterfalls to help cool the room down. So other things you can do, home remedies, besides herbs, I just remembered a few more. Take walks in the moonlight, full moon, and go out at night. Don't go out in the day. Don't go out in the heat of the day when it's very hot, because it's going to make you hot. You know, if you're out in the day and you're hot and you haven't been eating and the sun's been hitting you in the eyes, you're going to get irritable. So if you're already kind of easy to be irritable type of person, then you don't want to go out in the sun. You don't want to go to a hot, sweaty gym. Other causes, of course, are over-exercising, over-sex, over-work, and all of these pushing type of activities where we push ourselves too much to the extreme. So I tell a person they should rest, don't take hot showers, take cool showers, and, drink your pitta tea during the day, take your cool head formula before you tear at your employees or get mad at your boss. And you will find that you can use these herbs like tools. They're tools. You can take them for your whole life. You can have all the rose petals you want. You're never going to have any harm from having rose petals and many of these flowered herbs like chamomile, lavender, shankhpushpi, and jatamansi. They're just flowers and keeping you cool and calm and making you more Sattvic, more peaceful. And of course, happiness is in the Sattvic quality. You notice in that Rajasic quality, we are very competitive and accomplishing a lot and motivated and driven. But at the same time, we don't have happiness is not in that state of mind. Happiness is going to be in that peaceful state of mind where we're not thinking about the future, which doesn't exist. We're not worried about the future. We're staying in the moment, and we're not regurgitating and saying he should, I should, of the past. Or forget the past, forget the future. We stay in the moment, stay centered, stay calm, and accept what is happening around us without allowing it to affect us. And keeping managing our minds. I mean, we often become too wrapped in our own mind. But in fact, we should observe our mind. When our mind is overactive, we can become anxious. When our mind is agitated by other people, we become irritable and angry. So it's for our own good, not just the people around us, that we learn to be more Sattvic or peaceful and manage this Rajasic or aggressive, irritable, angry part of ourselves. So I sincerely hope that helped you with all of these home remedies and dietary guidelines. And if you need more assistance in managing your mental state, then feel free to contact me, do an appointment, and I'll provide you with specific dietary guidelines and specific home remedies, and of course, herbal remedies that you can use as a tool to help to become more peaceful and more happy. Thank you very much.